right? It's just that romantic notion where you just go in there and you start to have that gooey feeling. Don't be afraid. It will be. Don't worry. That's the way you're looking at me. There's no problem. It will be fine. Eh? But let's look at something in Genesis chapter 2, verse 18. Right, right from the beginning, God said something. He says, "It is not good for a man to be what? To be alone. I will make him a helper suitable for him." Right? Meaning there's a helper that cannot or might not be suitable for you. Right? But he says, "I will make him a helper suitable for him." So if the woman is a helper to the man, it also means that the man is a helper to the woman. This relationship is symbiotic in nature. You know, there are some relationships where the other person is just collecting, is not giving anything. They will call them parasites, or parasitic relationship. You have relationship where it is symbiotic. You give, I give, you take, I take, right? And then we move each other forward. That is God's concept, right, of marriage. But we will also appreciate the fact that we are different people or persons at times from different backgrounds. So it takes a whole lot of effort for us to achieve that symbiotic relationship where we're able to come together and start to reason alike. If not in anything, in some things. That's why you see, they say even physically, when man and woman don't begin to for a while, they start to do what? Resemble each other. So also their attitude change. And you say, I know Amo before she marry. Don't go marry that accountant. Now like this in hand come be. She has, they say the husband has rubbed off on her and vice, versa. Right? Now we are saying that in the light of this heavenly symbiotic intention towards marriage, right? We mentioned that God's intention is for the woman to support the man, and of course for the man to also support the woman, right? Goal setting rooted in biblical principles can become a very powerful tool for us to foster what? That relationship that God intends. 2, growth. 3, unity. And then for us to foster a shared goal, which can be enhanced by having a positive mindset towards one another. You must have seen how in institutions, at times you walk into some offices, maybe banks and these shareholding companies, stockbroking companies rather. You see on the wall, you see vision statements, right? You see mission statements. You see, and all the lights. The company tells you this is what we are all about. Our goal is to become the number one IT company in the sub-Saharan region and da 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 da. What are they doing? So that when you as a staff walk into the office, all that you have brought from your home, right, you remember to drop it, and as far as you are inside that premises, this is why you are here, this is why you were brought in, because this is why this place was set up. So in the same vein, right, in the same vein, we also need to set goals in our marriages, right, in our marital relationship as spouses, so that we do not forget what our intentions were in the first place, because life can be so troublesome, so difficult, that you forget why you are here in the first place. If you allow negative mindset or attitude, quarrels, troubles to creep in, you will forget the reason why you got married, right? Now, goal setting has to affect every aspect of our lives as couples. You cannot manage your finances well if you don't set goals, right? If there's no goal set, you just realize that the money people have a mark for this, or the money that is supposed to be used for XYZ, you are coming back in the evening, you just buy a pair of shoes, right? And you come and dangle it in my face and say, guess how much I bought it, right? That will not be a problem. It becomes a problem when you now say that is the money that we say we are going to use to buy bag of rice for next month that you used in buying the shoe. That becomes all right. They say I should change my position. All these people, they can control somebody anyhow. All right, so goals have to be set. Parties have to agree, like, okay, this is what this money is meant for, right? You don't come back one day and tell me, oh, I've just enrolled our daughter in Madonna Primary School or Secondary School, right? First of all, we have to look at the values together. Is that where we want our child to be? Secondly, is this something that we can afford, right? So parties have to agree. But then again, our minds have to be positive towards our conversation so that we don't just live life anyhow, haphazardly, right? How do we look at issues of family planning? Eh? Is the number of children we are going to birth or have dependent on one party alone, right? I remember some time back when the preacher was celebrating his last child, and he said here, what did he say? He said that this is their third child. They have decided to put a full stop. Abi, is that not what he said? Then, but Ubaha was the service leader, and when he got there, he asked him one question. You see that thing that you said just now? Have you discussed it with your wife? Do you understand? Because both of you have to agree. If she does not agree with you and doesn't want to argue with you, and you say, this is our last beginning, but tell you say, I hear. When the belle enter, come out and see where you want to follow. So there has to be agreements between parties in everything we want to do, right? I remember a conversation between my colleague in the office and our electrician guy who came to work. So we're just gisting, say, my wife get belle, right? And we're like, that will be your fifth child now. He said, yes, so yes. He said, but you know, they plan this. You don't think this is too much? This is what did he say? He said, no, all the pikin wey God put inside our body now, all now we go born. Not quite few months after that conversation, the wife gave birth. And he called my colleague and said, Oga, my wife don't born. Oh. He said, congratulations. And he said, but we still dey hospital, we never fit comot. He said, the God wey say all the children wey dey your body, na you go. Why you not call am make you bring money make you take comot for hospital? What's the statement? We understand that there cannot always be money, right? Everybody needs help at one point in order. But God has not made us to be foolish people. We need to plan. Where there is no vision, the people do what? They perish. So there has to be a goal, like this is what we want to achieve. That principle cannot be dissociated from marriage. We also need to apply it in our marital life. Then you ask yourself, where do we see our marriages or our marriage in the next 5 years? Couples need to sit down and discuss. What kind of home do we want to create? Have you asked yourselves? Or you just live life anyhow? Ask yourself questions. How do you envision our roles as parents, spouses, and members of the community? What is our disciplinary approach towards our children? In the morning, the boy do something, you conk am for head. In the afternoon, you do something, you slap am. In the evening, you flog am for nyash. Decide on what approach you want to follow. You are confusing the child. Do you understand? These things have to be discussed. Having a shared vision provides direction, prevents aimless drifting. You just go left and right. You are not focused, thereby fostering teamwork. We have to have shared vision so that we will not drift like people who do not have an aim. Amos chapter 3 verse 3 asks us a very vital question. What did he say? He said, can two work together except they agree? And we say that the emphatic answer is what? No. Before we can succeed, both of us need to sit down, be positive towards one another in thoughts, minds, right? And then agree that this is what we want to do. It doesn't matter that one person is the one who comes up with the ideas most of the time, because that's where you have issues sometimes, right? In some families, you have that the man is the think tank, right? He's the one that comes up with these ideas, and the wife sees that, oh, this is going to work, and follows through. In some families, you see that the woman is the one bringing the ideas, right? But the man stands in front of it and say, okay, let us do this. By the time you begin to say, oh, out of ego, say, are you the one? I married you. Listen to me. Are you the one that will tell us what you will lose out on what would have moved your family forward? So it doesn't matter who comes up with the idea, but we need to agree so that the house can move forward. A positive approach fosters goal achievement. So you see, you cannot separate positive thinking and goal setting, because that positive approach will move that goal that you have both decided to achieve, will help you push it forward. As with any journey or venture, there will be obstacles and challenges along the way, right? But having a positive attitude can be the difference between navigating these hurdles with grace, of course, from God, or rather just getting bogged down in negativity and eventually giving up. Right? The difficulties are there, the challenges are there. But okay, we wanted to do this as husband and wife. The thing did not work, and you go home and go and you need to continue to try and have God at the center of your mind. If you read Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23, it tells us to guide our hearts with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. Why did you say this? We need to be very careful what we allow to enter our mind, because we're talking about positive attitude. If your mind is not positive towards your wife, towards your husband, right? Both of you cannot make any form of progress. As a couple, marriage becomes your number one physical issue in life. So when the Bible says, for out of it are the issues of life, marriage is one of those things. Questions: what are the things we say to each other as spouses? In what manner and in what attitude do we say these things? And when we say them, what motive or intentions do we have when we are saying these things? Do we speak in love to correct or in disdain to hurt? The Bible instructs us to intentionally focus on positive ideologies when we see Philippians 4:8. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, think about these things. That is the kind of mindset we are supposed to have towards one another, even in mindset. Even in marriage. Some of us have become so engulfed in negativity that anything our husband does is just on the side. Anything our wife does, there's nothing good that can come from her, right? You have marriages that are 15 years old, you still hear somebody saying, and that was how your father told me that he doesn't want to give his daughter to people like me. I don't have this, I don't have that. That is still in your mind. How many years after? Right? Because my child, I did not have children on time. And I remember what your mother was telling me. Right? Those are things you should let go. Forgive one another. Because the vows you make to each other are to what? To yourselves. Right? People blame our daughter is not married. It's because of that decision that you took some years ago. Oh, I would have been retired by now and be in my village. Blaming one another. So anything the person says, you don't listen anymore. Your mind is clogged. We need to do what? Renew our mind. Romans 12:2 says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the word renewing of your mind. So if your mind is burdened, loaded with those negatives, this is time for you to do what? Renew that mind and remove those things from there. Ephesians 4:29 says, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful for the building of others. For the building up of others according to their needs. What is unwholesome talk? We try to define it. When you talk about people in their backs, you can say, oh no, it doesn't happen between husband and wife. If you go down some families, you find the wife down the road discussing negatively about the husband. Where is that one? I don't leave one for there. You're not there waiting one. Talks that should not even be heard inside the house, you carry it outside and go and say about your wife or your husband, right? We are asked later on. You can see all the definitions that we have there. Those things that will make you weaken the person's spirit, we have been asked to avoid them. You are advised to speak words of potential and encouragement to one another. Some persons have lost their marriages to complaints and bickering. Complain, talk. Some of these marriages have physically collapsed, while some are just hanging in there. You think they are married, but nothing, zero. Come to the courtroom at times, you will hear things that will want to make you block your ear. Things that people can settle amongst themselves. If you cannot settle, just call somebody to intervene and you move forward. The person you are going to discuss with, his own is not perfect. He just knows how to do what? To manage his own. Proverbs 15:1 says, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up what? Anger. Positivity creates a more peaceful atmosphere. A positive mindset fosters better communication and is problem solving and resilience. And resilience during challenges. That mindset, okay, I will not give up. I will not insult this man. I will not insult this woman. Those are the attitudes we need to have as couple. A positive attitude is contagious. If I'm happy in the house as a man, it affects everybody. The children will be happy, so everybody is excited. And if the woman is unhappy or happy, it affects everybody. Just send your child, go and meet her. Mommy, daddy said, go leave me alone, go and meet your father. I don't know what is. At times you see hear the way somebody opens the door, they just jam the door, bam. You'll be wondering what did the door do to the person. The atmosphere will just be terrible. But the one, see, women, let me beg you people something. The one I want to join my fellow men, we want to beg you people together. This one, you see, at times you are just in your house and you just see your wife squeezing her face to this side, she squeeze her face to this side, squeeze her. Is anything the matter? Nothing. What's happen? Not tell you anything, right? But you just know that something is wrong, right? Person will not be madman, not they react, or madman or madwoman, not they react for no just cause. There's always something. I would rather you are crying and pointing at me and saying you are the cause, even if you don't tell me what I have done, right? So I'll be able to say, I am sorry, I'm petty. Maybe sometime in the future you later tell me, right? People should stop it. It's confusing. You don't know whether to say, sit down. Why are you telling to sit down? Stand up. Why are you telling to? Just let us know what we do some of these times so that we know how to apologize, right? Do you want to get things from each other? That thing that you want to get from me or from her or from him, have you approached it in a different manner? That thing that you have been asking, don't do this again, don't do this again, give me this. Have you tried to approach that topic in a very subtle manner? Say, Oga, sit down, madam, sit down, I beg, like this. Maybe you want to try it. It could just work. That topic that, okay, yeah, we just mentioned that. Now, we talked about harboring grudges. We need to learn how to forgive, as instructed in Colossians chapter 3, verse 13. Now, we should not bear grudges against one another. We should forgive and let those things go. Goal setting and achievement requires a positive mindset. We said that before. Without a positive mindset, you cannot actualize your goals together. Right? If when I'm approaching you to come and talk to you, you're already saying, wait till you want to talk again. It's always bringing business. Anytime I bring a meeting, go flop. Right? You may not even succeed in setting them in the first place. To even set goal, not to talk of having it achieved. Goal setting isn't just about ticking boxes. Children, tick, school, yes, we have done it. Okay, this, we bought a land. No, this. It is not just about that. Right? It's about creating a roadmap for a fulfilling and ever-evolving partnership. So if it's about, let's get this done, let's get it done, by the time you finish, then what next? What is your marriage going to rely on? What is your relationship going to be feeding on? Right? Approach goal setting as a collaborative effort in building a vision for your future. Both of you as husband and wife, because at the end of the day, it is only both of you that will remain. Okay, now that our children are in university, Oga, what happens? Madam, what happens? Those things should be discussed. Right? Because at times we just realize that, we are just now alone in the house. What next? What do we feed on? What does our relationship survive on? Now, I want us to ask ourselves this question. Have you, as a spouse, tried to picture your lives alone in the house, like only both of you? No children anymore, relations are gone, relatives are gone. 10 years down the line from now, have you pictured how our life will be only me and you inside one house? Have you thought about it? Is it a goal? Do you have it as a goal to make your life work when that time comes? Is your plan? Yeah. Some of us live like neighbors. Husband and wife inside the house, be like neighbors. We live like neighbors with dead affection and once in a while intimacy. To search yourselves, it happens in our homes, right? Is your plan for old or an older age as a wife to be traveling around the world, visiting your children in the name of Omugo, while you leave your husband who has become frail and weak in the process of struggling for the family? That's your retirement plan for the future. That's the goal that you have set. You need to think about it. Second question, are you as a man thinking of retirement plan that doesn't involve your wife? Like some men who are not Christians will plan that, okay, when I'm getting old, I'll go and find me one young girl that will marry, that will be taking care of me in my old age. What is your plan for yourself as a man in your old age? Does it include your wife? Thirdly, do you have bonding as a goal? Right? Do you have improved or increased intimacy as a goal for the purpose of sustaining your marriage till death do you part, as your vow says or said when both of you were getting married? I have a mother-in-law who you can hardly get to leave her house when you give birth. Highest 1 week. If you too try for you 2 weeks, you run back. Where did they go? Say, they go meet my husband. The father, the man is 70 something years old. The woman is close to in age, right? But only God is recently now. The people say they are trying to get somebody to come and be living with them. They've been alone, and we don't hear stories of fighting. And it did not start yesterday. It's the plan that they have nurtured, a style that they have nurtured. So if we are cat and dog, or cat and rat, which one is more dangerous in the house? What is going to happen when we are alone? Nobody to separate us, nothing to discuss about. Women know how to occupy themselves with children. Go bath, go and do this, go and do that. You'll see that 90% of, and the man knows how to go and do 17:59 with his friends and come back 11 p.m. Can life continue like that? The answer is no. So think on these things and set your goals aright as a couple. Sustaining a positive attitude towards your goal, right? At times, life can happen to your goals. When you plan, say, now this is what we want to make it be, this is what we want, this is what we want. It does not mean that it must work like that. But that does not mean you should not set goals. So, okay, we tried to open a pure water factory the other time. It did not work. You say I should go and do another business. I am tired. Now, be rigid on your goal. Your goal must not change. You must achieve it. But be flexible in direction and attitude towards it. Oh, I wanted to follow this way to achieve it. It didn't work. But let me follow this way and see whether I can come back to it. Do not abandon your goal. We want our child to to attend university. Things have become so difficult. It's a goal for the family. Okay, my son, no vex. For now, let's see whether Yaba Poly has what? An opening. The aim is that at the end of the day, the child gets educated. I graduated. I was supposed to go to law school. I couldn't make it for several reasons. Money joined, many things joined. Right? What did I do? I went to go and do my NYSC. After I finished NYSC, and I came back to hustle the law school, and I went. So at times, I'm standing with my classmate that we graduated together, but they are my senior, my learned senior. Why? Because he went before me. Not my fault, but my pride is that at the end of the day, I still look for how to go and do it. But some of us then that couldn't go, entered business, ministry, work for council, begin earn salary. To leave that thing, go school, and the thing can hard. Now today, they don't know what is called wig and gown. Be rigid on the goal, but be flexible in your approach, right? You cannot just live life like that. Proverbs chapter 16 verse 9 says, in their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes what? Their steps. So if it doesn't work the way you planned it, leave it for God, right? If you, Ecclesiastes 9:11, that the race is not for the swift, right? Neither is the battle for the strong, but time and chance happeneth to them all. Who is in charge of time and chance? It is God. So if you say, oh, since God orders our step, God is in charge of time and chance, let me just go and sit down and sleep. Anyhow God wants my family to turn out, if you turn out like that, you would have failed rather. You are the person that is referred to in Proverbs chapter 6 verse 6 to 8, where an illustration has been made even with the ant. He said, go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider his ways and be wise. It has no commander, no overseer, no ruler, yet it stores its provision in summer and gathers food in harvest. Is that planning or not? It is planning. Even the ant plans. So if you are saying, okay, let's leave everything for God, the Bible is telling you to go and look at the ants. The standing at the ant is an animal that instead that don't even look as if he has a brain. He does what? He plans. So if you are not planning, then there's a problem. Now, we can equally have individual goals, right? As a family, it doesn't mean that everything that we do must be collective, must affect the both of us. I can say I want to see how I can get my masters. I can say I want to say, oh, I want to be trained in, I want to become a human resource expert. I want to go and train two of us together. No, one person will get trained. I know people who got married to undergraduates, right? They were in school. What did they do? They saw their wives through school because they believe in the goal, that personal and private goal of the wife, right? Some others said, no, go school, wetin you go comot, not be certificates. Even president, not guest, don't worry, when the time reach, we'll give you a certificate, right? But, and say, well, you want to, all those guests that are in school, all those lecturers, and trampled upon the dreams of their wife, right? Parents try to intervene, you say, if na school, I want to make you come, but come and remove her from my house. And that is how the dream of such another human being dies. When you start to have problems tomorrow, you say, what is wrong with her? Something is wrong with her. There's a foundation somewhere. So we should also learn to support ourselves in our individual dreams. Some men have taken their wives after the one their parents did, trained them, masters, took them on courses to be experts in one field or the other, right? The man cannot succeed. My company says I should come for training in Trinidad and Tobago. It's a 3 months program. If your wife does not agree with you, can you go? If you go without her consent, your home is what? It's broken, right? If when you are leaving, you pull your back, you are headed to the airport, you go and you are saying, I will go whether you like it or not. Know that you are not coming back to a home, right? So the wife also has a way of supporting her husband in her career and other goals. So that, let us not say, oh, goal setting and being positive toward one another's intention has to be something we must do collectively. We can pursue individual goals, right? Hebrews chapter 10 verse 24 says we should do what? Spur one another towards love and good deeds. We have said earlier that we should try as much as possible not to let our circumstances in I don't know if some people say happenstance, it just happened, right? As much as we can, let us plan, let us be directional, let us nurture our intentions and see how they give birth. I used to make joke at times that if some of our last bonds, even from here, even parents here, if some of our last bonds hear what parents say about them, they probably might not be able to forgive their parents. A lot of the last bonds that you have, they're always a mistake. Don't get belle. And that's why I see them as if the thing just have a way of manufacturing, And say, we not even know say the thing fit work again. We just see the thing, say the thing just happen, right? I know of couple who have as terrible as the idea is, who have told their wives, take this money, this one where you carry, so we cannot have it, right? And thank God for some stubborn women. That money you give to them, they'll carry it to go and do what? Register in antenatal, right? And now you now have a husband saying, my baby, and the wife looks at you, the one way you want to make her, right? Let us plan. Let us try as much as possible not to leave things to chances and always say that, oh, this was a mistake and the other was a mistake. It does not tell good of people who are supposed to set goals and be positive. Now, do we set goals in our spiritual lives? Setting goals is not just about um, childbearing, education, finances, and the rest of that. You had that young man behind, Gege. Fortunately, he was a service leader some time back and could not contain his excitement when his son stood up to say, I want to be what? Baptized. What are your spiritual goals in an environment like this? It starts from now. What do you let your children, what do you make your children available for? Right? I mentioned some time back that the attitude of some of us towards our youth program can be very discouraging. Everybody wants to form mother hen, protect my child. They said the other time during the youth class, something did this, something. There are bad eggs everywhere. Even among the Judas, the 12 disciples, there was what? A Judah. That does not mean you should deprive your child of what they should benefit. Right? In classes. Come tomorrow. Tomorrow is our youth class. We have 19, 20, 24. But look at us here. And tomorrow you say, this child is not doing what I want the child to do. It has to start now. So what are your plans? Is there an agreement between a husband and a wife on how the children will be made to toe this line? Let us think about those things. Now, you can disagree with me, but let me ask. If I, as a man or a brother here, any brother says, I want to be a deacon, I want to be an elder, without the support of your wife, can it work? So both of you have to be positive minded towards that goal that you have set. Right? Your wife, you have to talk your wife into supporting you. Business meeting. There are some women here that don't leave here until 6 o'clock. Right? Probably because they don't have other means to go home. Some of them can go home and leave their husbands. Right? It's fine. Because if the woman also doesn't take the children home to go and take care of them, the man also will not have rest of mind in the business meeting. So it's all geared towards one cause. But do you encourage each other? Have you told your husband one day, I never see you one day, say it's last Sunday of the month, say you sit down to listen to what is being said in that church? But you're an MD, right? You do training, you have wisdom, you're intelligent. Let us discuss the affairs of God's house. You have a meeting in Ikoyi. The governor's assistant wants to see you every last Sunday of the month. Goal setting. It cannot start one day. Let us begin to work our mind towards that thing. Right? If you do not show that example to your wife, that zeal that you are really interested in working in God's house and in working for God, when you begin to request some of those things, she's going to ask you when. Which time you like God, which like this, where you can't do like this. The time is now. Have that plan. So as you plan your physical goals as husbands and wives, plan your spiritual goal because it is more important. You don't want to be a disgrace. You don't want to be the negative name in the mouths of your brethren. Say, Sam, not even training became well. It might not be your fault. You can only take a dog to a horse to the water, but you cannot force it to what? Drink. But let that effort to be seen that you have actually taken that dog to what? To the water. Maybe people say that the horse, the dog say, ain't no one drink. What efforts are you making to balance? What goals are you making? What efforts are you making to set goals that put your spiritual life where God wants it to be amongst your brethren? We'll be rounding up. In conclusion, goal setting and a positive mindset in marriage is about intentionally weaving a beautiful life together. Emphasis on the word intentionally. It doesn't happen by happenstance. The thing just fall into place. No, it has to be planned, strategized, sit down, let's talk. When couples, most of the time, says, sit down, let's talk, there's always panic. What thing you want to tell me again? Because it's not something that happens often. You only come, sit down, let's talk when you want to complain. You say you want to see me, what I don't do now, right? That should not be it. Let us be intentional about this. Living a positive life together, grounded in Christ, and fueled by a shared vision. That's the only way it can work. Both of you have to disagree to finally agree, right? And then when it falls apart, don't say, should I tell you, say the thing not will work. That is not a positive mindset. Okay, money, this has happened. Well, it's all right, right? We are human beings. We can apportion blame, oh, are you person, but at the end of the day, push that aside and forge ahead to where both of you have decided to go. So sit down with your spouse, drink together, set goals, and let this process reignite the passion and purpose within your marriage. Some of us cannot remember what we were telling ourselves when we were envisioning, when we were planning to get married. Some of those memories are dead. We had those goals. I look at the woman. So, but by the time I do like this, those visions, life has thrown them away. You need to intentionally look for them and bring them back for your marriage to survive. Always remember that with God at the center, your marriage is an extraordinary work in progress. May God bless His word in Jesus' name.
We thank our brother Anuge for doing a lot of justice to this topic. He has shared very good knowledge on the topic, positive attitude and goal setting in marriage. With all humility, I am not worthy of adding anything to what he has said. But if we are to take one thing home, he said something about goal setting, which we can apply in every area of our life, be it in marriage, in our career pursuits, in relationships, and even in our relationship with God. And this is what he said. If we can notice, he said, be rigid on your goals. Be rigid. And part of the strategy of being rigid is that we need to be intentional. So it's an intentional process of being rigid on our goals. But we have to be flexible in our approach and strategy to attain these goals. So while we are rigid on our goals, we are supposed to have a flexible and open mind in the approach and the strategy we are using to achieve this goal. We thank you once again for listening. May we pray that God will replenish you with His strength, and that the next time we will meet you, that you will also be around to share knowledge on topics like this. Brethren, this is time that we will take questions on the topic we've heard today, positive attitude and goal setting in marriage. But before we take questions, I want to call on the song leader to give us just a hymn, after which we take questions.
Brethren, let's be on our feet. Let's sing 576, the love of God.
And I'm
Sing the love of God, my shepherds and blessings on my head. I have made it my own. Let's sing. Sing the love of God, my shepherds and blessings on my head. I have made it my own. I will hide it in my heart as it never made it mine. It's a room, there and the love of God within their heart. If I live there, I walk in power, oh, that's moving love, and heart is fed, is dwelling place the love of God. It's like a flame, so endless, yeah. It is the love of God. You never will lose its glory. Till we sing it face to face. Sing the Son of God came down with his love alive to crown him with all who remain. Greater love that could not be. Jesus died for you and me in our hearts. He would reign, he would move the love of God within the heart. The kindliness, the wanting heart, for the soul in blood of Jesus, in his tender mercy. If the heart is fed, is dwelling place the love of God. It's like a flame, it is the same. Sing the love of God. We never will lose its glory till we see Him face to face. He who gave His love to me, that I might forsake the free, bids me share in today. As I love you, He has said, you must serve me in my stead. As you go, on your way, the love of God within the heart. Jesus, He is the mercy. If the heart is fed, He is dwelling place the love of God. Like a flame, it is the same. The love of God, we never will lose His glory. Till we see Him face to face. While His love was true and bright, we are walking in the light. He has shown us the road. With His glory was reflected, lost and deepness of the night. Keeps us soul from its soul, from its soul. The love of God within the heart. We find the grace of wanting power. The soul in God, the Jesus, He is tender mercy. In the heart is fed, He is dwelling place the love of God. It's like a flame, and the same. It is the same. The love of God will never lose its glory. Till we see Him face to face. Be seated.
Brethren, this morning under the theme, the series Marriage Pillars, we've learned the topic positive attitude and goal setting in marriage. This is time for us to take questions. Please try to make your questions to be as brief and straight to the point. We're going to take questions for the next 15 minutes. If you have any question from the right side, please raise your hand and take your number. Do you have more questions from here? Okay. Yoruba, number one. Questions from this row, please. Brother, I want number two. Do you have any question from this row? None? Okay, question. You are on, sir.
They ask.
Question number three. Do you have any other question from here? Okay, number four, number five, number six. So we just have 6 questions. We are going to try as much as possible to see that we handle these questions within 15 minutes. Please, like I said earlier, straight to the point and as brief as possible. I want to call on the teacher to come and take the questions.
You will give me money for this. Good morning, brothers and sisters. Good morning. I want to thank the teacher for this wonderful lesson he has taught us. Thank God for the wisdom God has given to him. I want to ask, because he told us that we have to be intentional, deliberate in our actions, and the what's the other word? The way we approach the whatever we want to do, we have to be careful. Now, I want to ask, because this question is for both men and women. Because many times when we go into a relationship, we don't really sit down to think and look at some of those red flags and take note of them before we say yes, I do. At the end of the day, because for you to execute these plans, for you to do some of these things, even the Bible says, can two walk together except they agree? Both of you have to agree, for you both to sit down and talk. In a situation whereby you are thinking towards this direction and your partner is thinking towards this direction, even when you call her and say, okay, honey, sweetheart, whatever you used to call her, I think this thing should be like this. I think, she'll pretend as if she's listening to you. Don't misquote or don't misunderstand my words. I'm not referring to my wife. So, that is my sweetheart down there. Now, after finishing what you've said, in your mind, you think that she has gotten the message. But at the end of the day, the response is the other way around. So, because you have to try to align, as in you have to think together, reason together for you to be able to plan in the first place. So in this case, what do you do? I will approach the question two-dimensionally. So first of all, 7.
Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor other. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. Verse 7. It always protects, always trusts.
All right. Just read 4 again.
All right. Verse 4 read us. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast.
All
It
right.
is not
All
proud.
right. Um, we did mention that when I started, I mentioned that unmarried people think, except those who have gotten close to it, they think that marriage is all this is a notion, a romantic notion, right? That romantic notion, when you enter into it, the feeling is all gooey, having goosebumps all the time. It's a my lord situation, and you know, and like that. But we are talking about when some people are analyzing how much man cannot understand what a woman is or who a woman is. They refer to the creation of a woman to remind you that God had the power to have left you awake and then created the woman so you understand what they were giving you. But he put you asleep and then created that. When you woke up, you saw somebody and you sit down and so you want to understand that. How do you do that? So we're actually very different. We are different human beings. You have siblings in their houses, they cannot agree on anything. Now talk of somebody who was trained in the east, you trained in the north. Bring two of you together, you say you love each other and you marry, you want to agree, just like that. It is not that simple, right? But when we read the passage we just read now, it says love is what? Is patience. Because the foundation of your marriage is what? Love. Right? So because you love that person, because you are not arrogant towards that person, because you are not pompous towards that person, you are not proud towards that person, right? You exercise a high level of patience, right, towards that person, and see how you can make her to understand, right? I'm approaching it from your question. We know you were not referring to your wife, but you were saying if the woman doesn't want to agree, so you can be patient with her and see how you can make her see reasons with what? With you. Where that does not work, let me now take your mind somewhere. What happened in the Garden of Eden? Who did the apple, who did the serpent give the apple to? He gave it to who? The wife, right? And the wife committed what? An offense by eating of the apple and equally giving it to the husband, right? And the husband joined in the sin, right? Let me ask you now, did if Adam had stood up and said, my wife, God says you cannot eat this apple, and so I resist your eating of this apple, do you think God would have been pleased with Adam? Yes or no? He would have been pleased. So why you try, I always tell my wife, people say, God will help me, because they say it's daughters that used to take care of men when they are old. Me, I don't have. So my first daughter is my wife. And to impress that in her mind, I have told her that when I married you, you left your father's name and took my name. So I tell them that thing that they do not want to hear. God has made you subject to me. You are under my control, direction, and what? Instruction. So that was what God expected of Adam in the Garden of Eden. So that even if Eve wouldn't have agreed, Adam would have been a man and taken the decision that is best suited for both of them. Having said that, so that we don't just leave it there and then remind us men of who we are in our houses, let us read Ephesians chapter 5 verse 23. Ephesians chapter 5 verse 23. If you are there, read it.
For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church.
All right. How do we live as Christians? Under the dictates of the church, of Christ. Not under our suggestions to Jesus Christ. Are we following? under the instructions of Christ, handed down to the church as the head of the church. So men need to understand that they are what? The head of their homes. I think I can leave it there. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So certain decisions lie on you to take. If it backfire, you are on your own, sir.
Thank you. The second question.
Thank you. Okay.
Good morning, Gregory. Thank you for your
Matthew. All of it off.
okay. Thank you for your teaching. It's almost as if my question is almost aligning with that of Brother Oba in the sense of I mean, if two can never work together except they agree. Now, this my question is coming from the context of this Jackpot syndrome. And why I say this is this. It happened that I met a couple. They are Christians in the Lost Church in one of my trips, and I was with him, and he was calling the wife. The wife wasn't picking. Called and called right in my presence, and I was forced to ask like, what's happening? The wife was not picking. He said nothing. He kept calling and calling. He didn't pick. She didn't pick. I said, are you sure nothing is wrong? He said, well, that let him tell me that in fact the wife has not been talking to him for like 2 weeks. I said, why? He said because of this Jackpot syndrome. Like, so he now told me that the wife sees him as quote and unquote a fool because he's not championing them traveling abroad. And I asked him, but from what I know about you, I mean, he's comfortable, you know. And from what he told me about his wife, when I asked him, he said the wife is also comfortable. So, what is now the issue? He said no, that she wants to travel, just the same way her colleagues have traveled, and he expects the man to champion the whole thing. And he feels indifferent about it, whether he goes or he doesn't go. He doesn't change anything, you know. So there's this kind of misalignment in their group. Because I'm talking on to the part of that goal setting, you know, setting goals as a couple. There's this part of misalignment in terms of goal, because if you look at it, she is not hungry, she is a bit comfortable. According to him, she is in a multinational company. Him also is also doing well, but her colleagues are leaving. She just feels they too want to leave, and according to him, he's asking her, what is the rush? Why are you? What is the? I mean, there's no emergency for you to leave. You are comfortable. You are okay. So that part of that misalignment. So I want to bring you to the job because they are also Christians in the job, but not here in Lagos, and it's also causing a big grief because as of now they are not talking to each other at all. She stopped picking his calls because according to him, she calls him a fool for not championing that cause. So I want to actually bring it to the church, like as a question. In this regard, how would you want to align and realign this kind of couple goals or goal setting between these two couples or this couple?
That's why the teaching on marriage has been a series, right? Because there are several aspects to the relationship between a husband and a wife. This church has taught us in months back how the wife is supposed to obey and subject herself to the husband. This church has also taught us how the man is the head of the home and how we should love the wife even as Christ loved the church and gave his life for the church, that the man should also be ready to do that. So the relationship between a husband and a wife do not stand alone. So first of all, let us begin to understand that the woman needs to know, right? Her place as a wife, as a woman, her relationship between herself and her husband, so that a disobedience or disregard for the man is not necessarily because of Japa. That might have ignited the present disregard, but she did not start treating the man like that yesterday because of Japa. There is an existing relationship, there's an existing disregard for the man already. That is why the woman will say, because you do not subject yourself, because you do not agree that I take our family that is not hungry away from this country, you are no longer worthy of my respect. We were having a conversation on the youth platform. Brother Barry posted something where somebody was saying, what you put into a woman, you get this, you put this, you get that. Consequent upon the treatment or behavior of the man, you have a God-given directive to obey. In our house fellowship, Brother Michael Enako was asking a question. Supposing my child becomes disobedient, what should be my reaction to her as the father? In other words, should I still pay her school fees? Your responsibility to your child as a father is not hinged on his or her obedience. You have a role to play. You should be disassociated from or disassociated from whether the child is obedient or not. So that you respect your husband. You are not asked to obey your husband when his opinions align with yours or when he agrees with you. I know so many families who have traveled. I have one very close one, a blood one. My wife can tell you, my Emmanuel is here. It is the girl that put the traveling thing on her head and used it to affect all of us. Right? Emmanuel will tell you, but at the end of the day, in few days' time, she will be leaving. The husband says, he work, you carry my bag, let's go together. If that is the attitude of the man, fine. If you can make it work, I don't have a problem, I'll follow you. But where the man says no, and the woman says it must happen, if it doesn't happen, you are no longer worthy of my respect. She has a problem. We have had situations where a man says, I am leaving Lagos, I am retiring to the village. What right has the woman to say, it is in Lagos I want to stay? I'm doing what? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there a question, please?
Thank you so much, Bishop. I just want to be sure you are not angry the way you are.
I actually am.
Rochen, please, before you ask your questions, I want to emphasize that we should try. We know that we can always tell stories before we ask our questions. Please, because of time, we should try and make our questions to be brief and straight to the point. And if someone has asked a question already, there is no need to repeat the same question, so that we are able to take all the questions. Thank you, sir.
I know you are talking to me. I'm not telling you. My question is a bit straightforward. It's setting goals as a couple. The reality is that we are individuals, whether we like it or not, and we say for this cause a man shall live, but we are still what? Individuals. Whether you also like it or not, there are things people want for themselves. Maybe if you are talking of, which school will the children go to and all of that, they are couple goals. But there are certain things you want for yourself as an individual. All right? It may be a bit selfish, but that's actually what you want as a wife or what you want as a husband. For situations where those things don't completely align with the common goals, what will be the approach to managing it? Related to the question, maybe not related, but maybe the second question is, somebody will say that you go to school planning to be maybe, or rather, you are growing up, you are planning to be a doctor, and Nigeria will also be planning for you what Nigeria wants you to be. You setting goals is all about looking up to the future and trying to expect that certain things will go certain ways. You know, you can sit down as a couple, even get a whiteboard if you want, and write the top 10 goals you want as a couple, praying and believing it, right? The question now is, if those things don't work out that way, how will it be managed to avoid frustration? One person may be better suited to cope with it, the other person may not. Thank you very much.
Okay. We said something like that, right? In our teaching. We mentioned that couples have individual goals, right? We mentioned how that some wives here, some women here were married to their husbands while their husbands were where? I mean, while the wife was probably in 100 level or 200 level. When the man has given his daughter to you who is in 100 level, are you expecting him to come and be paying the school fees of your wife? That becomes a responsibility. And we have men here who have completed their wife's training in the university. We also have brothers that I know who have sent their wives for masters. We have brothers that I know who have sent their wives on expensive trainings just to assist and support their personal goals in life. So we have mentioned that goals must not always be collective. It must always be, it must concern two of us. We have also mentioned that, the ability of the man, the fact that the man is able to stand up, take his bag, and live for 3 months for a career of lifting exercise or promotional exercise, right? It is because the woman has aligned herself to agree that her husband should go and do this thing for his personal growth and training, which of course will ultimately reflect on the family. But where that private goal is detrimental to the family, then it should be resisted in every amicable means as possible, right? When we read I think it's Romans, that as much as it depends on you, right, live peaceably with all men. All men includes your what? Your husband. All men includes your wife. If because of that goal, which you have seen is going to hurt or harm the family, your husband wants to pick a quarrel, so be it. Because what you want to save is not the man. What you want to save is not the woman. What you want to save is the family. Now people will say, not tell pikin say na he sabi, because the day when he go sabi, they will call you from police station say, come on, it has happened. So what you want to protect is your home. So if there's an individual goal that will be detrimental to the family, please resist it as amicable as possible, right? You see, the Bible, most of the times, if you look at it, you can relate it to cultures and tradition, how people practice and manage things. When the Bible says, if you have a problem with somebody, you talk to the person, it doesn't work, call 1 or 2 persons, right? Already in our homes, in our families, we have issues where we have to, now there are phones, right? Then you send message to somebody, say, come to my house, come and help me talk to my wife, maybe your father-in-law, or come and help me talk to my husband, right? And then a visit is made, the man, your father-in-law comes, or your mother-in-law goes, or he's sent for, just to have these issues addressed. But as much as you can, do it in peace and in love. And the other couple, the other party should learn not to let her personal issue be selfish enough that it be detrimental to the family. If that is what is going to happen when you embark on that your private goal, then you should be resisted. And the second one says, what did he say?
One is when those things you have planned
and you are not able to achieve them.
Okay, that was where we read Proverbs chapter 16, verse 9. And we said, that passage says, in their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. So if you plan it and it doesn't work, don't give up on that goal. When we were having one of our house fellowship, there was one prayer that Brother Onfami Mana said. And in the course of the prayer, he said, oh Lord, if you do not answer our prayer, because we are not knowledgeable enough to understand that your refusal is actually an answer. So if it doesn't work the way you plan it, that's why when he was re-emphasizing, he says, be rigid on the goal. You see this child, we must train him. But this is where we are planning to get this money. Since it has not worked here, let us go and sell that land to make sure we achieve our purpose as a family. So if it doesn't work like this, take another route. They say there are many roads, now they lead to where? To stream. I guess that is okay.
Brethren, because of time, we'll take one more question, and that's the fourth question. Okay. All right. Please, we'll have to bring this section to a close. We keep pleading with brethren to meet this. It has been a very interesting topic, even for those who are not yet married. It has been a very interesting topic. Please, if you have any question, meet with the teacher after our service this morning, and he is going to take time to share more knowledge, to give answers to those questions. Don't just say because you are not opportune to ask it in the General Assembly, you will therefore not ask him privately. He's always available, he's always everywhere. And private chatting, you can meet him after service and ask him those questions. Like with me, I would say this topic is something that we should also give him the opportunity to teach us again. Thank you so much. I want to call on the minister to bring this section to a close through prayers.